wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm excited.
You bet. So let's begin our journey into your work and your life by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic, we were wrapping our heads around it. We were in the middle of the unknown. Things were happening fast. How much of living through that pandemic has influenced the way that you approach and do life today?
Yeah, I actually love that question. Something I was thinking about a lot yesterday, so that's funny. Honestly, that year was really great for me. And like, I know it was a really insane year. It was great for a lot of people, and it was really not great for a lot of people. But personally, I'd been freelancing for about 5 years or so before that. And then in that time, a lot of people were getting grants and loans and, just different funding. And so for like small businesses, um, and as I was serving small businesses, it became a really successful year for me. And that's when I was able to like go full time. And then I was able to launch my agency shortly after that. And I really like think that that had a lot to do with it. And so, for me, that played a huge role in like my entire career right now.
So let's get into exactly what you do right now. And the best way to do that is to put you in front of a bunch of kids. It's career day. Let's say they're 12 years old, and one of the kids is curious and is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How would you explain it?
I would say I help businesses grow.
Okay.
Simple as it could be.
So what did you want to be when you were that age? What was your dream life?
So that's really funny. When I was that age, I wanted to be a highway patrol person in California
Uh-huh.
specifically. So don't know where I went on that journey.
I wanted to be Chips. I wanted to be with Poncho. I was totally part of that 80s kid mentality. And then of course the reality show Cops came out and I was like, yeah, I don't know. That's not looking like the way Chips was. So
Yeah.
I segued out. So take me back to where you were born and raised. We talked before we got on about, having a history in Kansas and Kansas City. Take me back to your childhood. How did this helping companies and digital marketing and visibility, how did all of these skills become and evolve into who you are?
Interesting. Yeah. So I was born here in California and I grew up here a little bit, but I mostly grew up in Kansas. And then in 2015, my family was still here. I still had like my grandparents here. So my grandparents called me and were like, "Do you want to move out? We'll move you." And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be right there. So moved back to California and I was really into photography at the time. So I was doing a lot of photo for like fun, and then that led me to like some small business, like working with small businesses and doing content creation for them. And then with small businesses, they need like a few people to wear a lot of hats. So my plate kind of slowly started filling up, and they were like, "Oh, can you also post on Instagram? And can you do this and this and this?" So with my like photo, that really led me into small businesses, which led me into marketing. And I really loved being able to just do all of that and still be creative and help other people grow because photography is really fun, but it's not like it wasn't fulfilling enough for me. I didn't feel like I was giving back in some way. So this was a really good compromise and like still being creative, but making an impact in some way. So yeah, just dove in, taught myself everything, and then the pandemic happened, got super busy, and it just evolved from there.
So what was your first camera? What was your favorite camera to shoot with?
Well, my first one, as usual, was the Canon Rebel. That was so long ago. And then I
Okay.
moved to like a Canon 60, I think. And then, yeah, I haven't picked up my camera in years now.
So what did you like taking pictures of when you had your ideal day? What was it that you like? What was your subject?
Yeah, I was doing a lot of like just fashion, lifestyle, those types of things. More like artistic fashion portraits. But then working with brands kind of led it more into like the lifestyle and like product usage and stuff like that. And then kind of just turned into more product, which was not my favorite. I was also assisting with a photographer at the time, and we did a lot of like events and stuff, so that was really fun. But yeah, it was hard to say like what my ideal was because it kind of faded a little quickly.
Yeah. What has been one of the hardest assignments, um, client jobs that you've had that ultimately turned into a good thing? You grew a
Um,
lot, but the result was what you were looking for.
yeah. Oh, that's a fun question. I have a great story for that. So I had one client, we all have, the ones that are completely unrealistic. And so this was one of those. And so there was a few different photo shoots with that client, who had zero budget, right? But like wanted all the things. So in literally like 3 days, I had pulled together this huge photo shoot. Somebody had like this connection with somebody who had a mansion in like Beverly Hills, and they would give out their house for free as long as we brought like girls and food. So like, arranged all of that. I got all these models. I got the catering, valet, everything. I brought all my friends in to help me do all the things I needed. I found another shooter, a videographer, and so that was wild. That ha all happened in like 3 days, and that was a really stressful, obviously, situation, but it happened and it was so fun, and it was really cool to just kind of like, okay, I can do that. That's
Yeah,
fun.
that's cool. So, who's been an inspiration for you? Who's been kind of a hero in your life?
Mm. Yeah, that's a good question too. I would say, just like my grandparents have played a huge role in my life, and I would just say them. There's not a lot of like celebrities that I really look up to. It's more them.
So, is there anybody in your field, in your profession, an entrepreneur that's doing what you're doing that you would love to meet, spend some time with, that might
Mhm.
help you on your journey? Or anybody in general that you find fascinating on this planet that you would just like to ask some questions and see how they roll?
Ooh, I'm so bad at names and recalling people on the spot. But yeah, I don't know. I would have to think about that
Okay,
one.
okay. So let me ask you this. What is it that motivates you to get up to do this work, to evolve, to grow with it? I mean, it's part of technology and technology moves fast. The world's moving fast. What motivates you to stay up and to do your work the best you can?
Hmm. Yeah, so we had kind of briefly talked about AI and everything, and I think that's obviously going to play a huge shift in every single industry. And I think obviously in marketing, it's really taking over and everything's becoming really not personable, not relatable. Everything is robotic. And so I think I'm, I focus a lot on like authentic brand building and bringing in your voice and bringing in the founder and like connecting with people and building communities. So I think that's what makes me the most excited is coming in here, working with brands who are super passionate and purpose driven and building a community and kind of like being able to think of how to now connect with audience on a personal level instead of like everything's AI.
Isn't it, it's weird to think that we've gotten to a point where we have to try to figure out if it's real or not. If you know, because I'll see pictures and I immediately know it's AI. And then I'll
Hmm.
hear about videos that get put out. Like my son, he's 20 and he's on the spectrum. And I have to be really careful because he pulled up a TikTok the other day and Steph Curry was talking about wanting to be traded and he wants to play with LeBron. And I don't like this area. And I'm like, that's not real. It's not happening. Whatever you're watching right now, that's totally AI. And it's weird to think that we've gotten to that point. But in what you're doing, I would think it would be a benefit because you get to pull something more real and authentic out of clients to present to the public.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really weird and it's really, really scary because it's already like good, right? It's pretty believable and we're only what a year or two into this.
Yeah.
Like it's terrifying to think about. Yeah, it's terrifying to think about.
So I asked somebody at one point that was kind of an AI engineer about, are you worried? Are you worried at where this is going and what it can do? Because there's always that doomsday scenario. Whether Hollywood or a book put it in our minds, it's that post-apocalyptic thing that could happen. And they basically said this. Everything that we do as human beings, all of the noise that we create online and otherwise, is a part of AI. So if we're negative, it's
Mhm.
going to be negative. If we're positive or find shades of gray, So, in your estimation, in your world of what you're doing, because AI is going to take jobs, there's all these things. It's going to
Mhm.
fabricate reality. How worried are you? What is the pro in your estimation of AI, and what's the con?
Yeah, when it comes to marketing specifically, I'm worried but not worried. So one, to use AI for any field, you really have to know what you're doing to like know what to put in and know that what you get out is worth using. So if somebody just goes in and is like, give me a marketing strategy, it's not really gonna like work out for them. So there's a level of like you still need to hire somebody to know what they're doing to use AI correctly. Um, the pro, I could make my workload faster. I could work with more clients. But I think I'm not totally worried because I do really value those like, using more personal connections and being more authentic. And I want to work with brands that are aligned with that. So I don't really feel like it will take over my job as long as I'm staying true to that and there's still clients that are interested in that.
Yeah. I've heard too, the only real problem, the only real issues that's happened with AI is that it's like a snake eating its own tail. AI
Yeah.
will get stuck on AI. So it won't
Hmm.
get stuck on a human notion because it can sniff us out. It knows that we're human. But
Yeah.
AI will sniff out AI and get into a loop, and that's the only danger. And that's kind of the idea of Arthur C. Clarke, is that it was going to turn into this behemoth that humans can't control because it's
Hmm.
has a superior intelligence that we can't harness.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. We can kind of see that already when like I don't know if you use LinkedIn frequently, but
Yeah.
LinkedIn is just a nightmare right now, right? Everybody's using AI to write their posts. They're using AI to comment and like nothing is real at all. And so it's like, okay, how far does this go? Why do we even use this platform anymore? What's the
Yeah.
purpose?
Yeah. It seems like a lot of social platforms are just getting to an artificial point. People
Yeah.
aren't interacting with it anymore.
Yeah.
Whether it's people don't like Elon Musk and what he's doing and he owns Twitter, or Zuckerberg and the whole Facebook, it's getting old. It seems like Instagram is, I don't know how, has become kind of the preferred platform for everybody across all lines.
I don't think it's preferred. I think that's actually a huge topic right now is like, okay, we don't want to be on these platforms and support them. There's nothing real. And so like I think communities are playing a huge really coming into play. So kind of something that's off the apps. It's another place that we can go to and connect in. And I think that will be like the next evolution to this. We'll see.
I interviewed someone that was actually, of all things, he was a former soap opera star and he turned into an app developer, and it was an AI app. And he came up with this when he would sign autographs. Everybody in line that was a fan of the soap opera would connect and intermingle. And he wanted to come up with this idea of having communities that were hyper specific. So when you leave that line and never see that person again, if you want to connect, you can. It was almost this virtual reality that
Mm.
AI takes and computes all these things about you, and you actually connect in this kind of virtual world. And it almost seems like that to me is plausible. That would like get away from bots and all of this fakery and AI driven non-human stuff that's going on in social platforms.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fun. Yeah, I think just like everything, right? Something new will come, it'll be really fun and great, and then
Yeah.
it'll evolve into something not fun and great.
One of my best friends, his nickname is Kato because he's kind of sneaky like the Pink Panther Inspector Kato. And he in my life has shown me everything. I remember the first time he sat down and said, "Dude, you got to see this Google thing. Just type anything in and look how fast it comes." And then he showed me YouTube. It was like, you can post videos. And I remember in the beginning I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, you can share anything. It's just videos. And that was when people were just putting benign stuff up. But it's interesting how all of those things have advanced to where we're at now, and we have no idea what's coming next. Like, no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see the evolution of the internet in the next year, even. Things are moving so quickly.
Yeah.
We had like the golden age of YouTube, which lasted for probably like a solid decade before things started changing. And we had like solid blocks of years of apps. Even like TikTok, it was something before it was what it is now, but we had like a good 5 years before, from like COVID to now before it's like changing and who knows what's gonna happen now. And yeah, I think the internet's gonna be really crazy in the next couple of years.
But it is dreamy to think about how pristine it was at one point. It's kind
Hmm.
of like an ocean, like having this place that you can stand and look at the ocean. No one's around it, and then after it gets popular, there's trash in the water. There's people loiter. It's like humans just have this way of grabbing onto it and just making it dirty. It's like the pristine, dreamy nature goes away. That's my fear of AI is that
Yeah.
humans ultimately are programming this, and we know what human beings have a
Hmm.
tendency of doing.
Yep.
So it's weird,
Yep.
very
We
weird.
can't have anything nice.
No, we cannot. It's like your parents tell you, you just can't have anything nice. So let me ask you this. Ed, if you had a dream tonight and you ran into a much younger version of you, say coming out of high school, and you could give that version you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived, the wisdom you've accumulated so far, what advice would you give your younger self?
Man, yeah, I would tell her to, just keep going. She wouldn't even believe what my life is like right now.
Yeah,
So she, yeah, I would tell her to just keep going and to just like be true to what you want to do. So there was a lot of like, I wasn't really pressured to go to college from my family, but like society, like we have to go to college. That's the next step. So there was a lot of that and like just kind of doing things that I felt like I needed to be doing. And so I wish, which none of that is relevant to me at all now. So like I think that's really important for people to know at any age is like just go with what's true to you and not what you should be doing. You feel like you should be doing.
for sure. So let me ask you this. Of everything that you've done and accomplished at this point, what are you the proudest of?
I am really proud of just owning a business and sustaining myself. It's been 5 years, and there are lots of times, almost every day, that I'm like, oh, do I need to get a job? Like, how long can this last? But it's going, and I think that's really amazing. And you mentioned you have a son on the spectrum. I have ADHD, and so that's really hard to like navigate that sometimes. But like, this is definitely the best journey for me is doing my own thing, and so that's what like keeps me driven is like this is definitely my path, and it doesn't really work for me to like. I would never get a corporate job. Like I couldn't do things like that. So, yeah, that's kind of what still drives me.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone that you work with, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Mm. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I feel really proud of the things that I've done, but I'm still working on like what that piece is, I guess.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time, like 100% of my time focusing on my business the last 5 years. And so I think that's like the next piece is like, who am I? What am I?
Yeah. So if the most important thing, if anyone wants to hire you, they want to see your work, they want to reach out, have any questions, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, so plantinmarketing.com, you can find everything about me, how to work with me. I also own a community for solopreneurs, so all that information's there. All my social links are there. That would be best place to go.
Okay, I will put that in the show notes. This has been wonderful. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time.
Thank
And
you.
we didn't really get to scratch the surface of Kansas City. So before we get out of the door, let's end on a good note. What was your favorite thing about
Uh,
living and being around Kansas City?
Man, my favorite, like just the history, it's so beautiful. And I loved like Westport back in that day. I know it's evolved quite a bit from what it was, but just like there's so many cool things. People don't really expect that. And like every corner in that whole city has something cool to find.
So there might be something fun that you should delve into. I'm going to look it up here real quick. My father-in-law called me yesterday and said there is a director called Dustin Phillips, and he did a documentary on the Kansas City music scene from the beginning to now. And apparently, rock and roll came to life in Kansas City. So it's I can't remember. Sounds of the City is the name of it. It's on Amazon Prime, and tomorrow is going to be the opening at the Uptown. But it's going to have all these different musicians from Frog Pond and all of these other musicians that are going to be a part of it. So that could be a real nostalgic look at the city that you really like. So it could be a good thing to delve into.
I will. I just found it. I will definitely
Cool.
watch that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Again, it's great to meet you. Thank you so much. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you. So good to meet you.
Thank you. Take care. Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.